Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my F1 2017 career mode video. In this video, this first video that I'm doing, this will focus on the opening race of the series, which is the Australian Grand Prix, and I will be in this video working my way through the free practice sessions, free practice 1, 2 and 3, and doing my R&D programs to try and get my R&D points. So I'll be doing all the different sort of programs and the little tasks that the engineers set for you to do in the free practice periods. So I'll be doing that in this video, and then the next video will feature the qualifying and the actual race itself. So this is basically how the career starts. Now we're going to meet Emma Jenkins, who obviously returns from F1 2016, who is basically your agent or manager.
Yes, and I respect that. But my client has a championship to contest. So if you want our participation, I'm afraid the concessions are mandatory. Yes, that's fine. Get back to me when you can.
Now I've decided to play this career as Force India. They're a midfield team.
Anyway, thanks for coming by on such short notice. I just needed to cover a couple of quick things with you before you race. Firstly, as requested, is a copy of your contract. It's a rolling deal. However, the team reserves right of termination if you fail to meet performance standards. You're second driver for now, but work hard, hit your targets, and I'll be able to sweeten the deal.
Well, I aim to be number one driver before long. I'm only competing against Ocon, who's not that special.
Ready for the next session. Good luck.
So I would expect that I become the number one driver in this team pretty quickly. And then everyone at Force India can bow to me. So yes, new contract. Dear CWATTYESO, welcome to the Sahara Force India Formula 1 team. We are delighted to have you on board and look forward to working with you over the upcoming seasons. Seasons? I don't plan to be here that long. You will start as our second driver alongside your teammate Esteban Ocon. We expect you to work together to help develop the car and team as quickly as possible. Now let's get out there and win some points. Yeah, I don't plan to spend too many seasons at Force India because I do obviously want to get in the Mercedes team as soon as possible and be Lewis Hamilton's partner, because that'll be my lifelong goal. That'll be my dream. So the laptop, within the laptop you can manage your career. So got no rivalries at the moment. Okay, so that's pretty much expected. Vehicle management. This is an important screen. It tells us all about the components in the car, the R&D upgrades and durability, and tyre selections for the upcoming races. So very useful screen. Very lots of information on it. And obviously managing your engine and engine parts and your gearboxes is a new feature in F1 2017 and is very, very race critical. Although, as I have discovered whilst capturing the footage for this video and the next video, it's not without a bug. It's currently a bit of a bugged system in the game, and basically it's to do with what you choose as your race distance in career mode, whether you go for 25%, 50% or 100%. I elected to go for 25% to keep the races short. However, that apparently causes a bug with your engine wear and gearbox wear because it doesn't scale properly. So, for example, the Australian Grand Prix at 25% distance is 15 laps. Over the course of the free practice periods, doing the different objectives for the engineers, you end up doing like 34 laps, I think it is. Which basically means you do 2 race distances just in practice. So you're wrecking your engine parts so much faster because the scaling's off. Whereas if you did 100% race distance, the parts wear a lot less. So I'm hoping Codemasters are going to get round that problem and fix that quite quickly. Because if you're doing 25% race distances, you're going to be, you know, after 4 races you're going to be taking penalties because you're going to be needing new engine parts and new gearboxes. There's just no way around it. Because your R&D tree, durability, you can't upgrade your durability fast enough to combat the issue. So it's a bit of a problem, bit of a bug, and I'm hoping they're going to fix it quite quickly. For anyone who is getting the game and is about to start their career mode, I would recommend you start on 50% race distances or higher, because you don't notice the wear and tear is a lot better. Basically, it scales a lot better. You basically can do more races with your parts before they get broken and you start taking penalties.
We haven't done a race simulation on any tyre yet. We have multiple sessions available, so it isn't urgent right now, but we should make time for a tyre wear program at some point.
I will be doing a tyre wear program straight after I've done the track acclimatization program, because getting used to the track is going to be my major issue, my first real goal. And obviously I'm doing my car setup now. I'm basically doing my setups based on the setups that I had for F1 2016. Obviously I don't know how the performance of the 2017 cars is going to affect those setup choices with the changes to obviously the regulations for this season, the wider tyres, the wider cars, the longer cars, etc. I don't know if my setups are going to need to be tweaked, so I'm going to use them as a basis, as a platform to build on, but I will probably end up having to tweak my setups a little bit if the car performances have changed that dramatically, which they should have. So we're going out on the Super Softs as our first tyre choice. And I'm going to elect to drive out at this point in time because I want to get as much experience of the track whilst we are in the first practice session. However, like I said, this is actually a bad idea because once I realised what was going on with the engine wear and sort of the gearbox wear and that, every lap that I did that I didn't have to do was really hurting my car's performance. It's no secret that basically I finished the first race here in Australia with my engine at like 70% wear, and I've got to do like 6 races with that engine. It ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. Is it? It's crapped out. In fact, it ain't gonna survive practice in the Chinese Grand Prix. So we're doing the track acclimatization program, which basically means I've got to drive around the track as fast as I can, but hit these little gates, which are supposedly teaching me the racing line. If obviously I've got the actual driving line on at the moment whilst I get used to the circuits, but if I turn that off, the only guide I would have to where I'm meant to be on track is these little gates, which I've got to hit quite consecutively. And I'm doing quite well. I'm getting quite a few purples. Haven't missed any, I don't think. Well, I may have missed one earlier on in the lap.
Right, that's the end of the program.
Done it, nailed it.
So we can analyse the data. Box this lap.
So, perfected the track acclimatization program, so that's good. That's got me some R&D points. So that got me 50 R&D points to add to my tally. And there's 275 up for grabs in this from the practice programs across all 3 practice sessions. So it's very important to try and get as many of them knocked off as you can, because again, those points are very useful for your research and development and improving your car between races.
1 minute 34.3.
Now for the first practice period, I'm only going to use 1 set of tyres. I'm not going to abuse my tyres and use all the sets that are available to me. I'm just going to keep using the same set, because I have to hand it back at the end of the session anyway. So I might as well just wear 1 set out than wear out several sets. Now I'm doing the tyre wear program now, which means I've got to try and ensure I drive in such a way that I don't destroy my tyres. So I need to make sure I try and drive as smoothly as possible, and actually ensure that the tyres are rotating at all times and not sliding across the track, because that will absolutely destroy them. Although my lap here is being slightly ruined a bit because of the car in front of me. That really distracted me and caused me to lose control of the car at one point. Ericsson in his crappy little Sauber. Passed him, that was the main thing. Got past him into that corner. Thing is though, my tyres, look, I'm already in the red. How am I going to salvage this? Probably not, to be fair. So I'm probably going to have to do another lap after this. I've already done 1 lap and I was only average. I did manage to keep it in the green. So this is my 2nd lap of the projected 3. And again, I've only managed to do an average. So to hit the optimal, I've got to go again and again. This is hurting me in terms of engine wear and gearbox wear, because I'm doing more laps. In an ideal solution, you want to nail these practice programs in 1 lap to reduce the impact on your Vic car. Like I say, if you're playing on 25% race lengths, if you're playing on 50% or 100%, you don't have to worry about it. You can do as many laps as you like in practice. You're hardly going to hurt your engines. It's just the 25, like I say, it's just the 25% race distance where it's bugged at the minute. And I'm coming up behind another vehicle, another car. Who is this? Can't tell. Oh, it's Ocon, it's my teammate. It's Ocon.
There's only 1 lap of fuel remaining.
Good. I don't need another lap though. This is going to be purple. This is going to be purple. My tyre wear is going to be perfect. Look at this. I've absolutely nailed it in those last few corners.
Program complete. Good work. Head on back to the garage and we'll start going over the data.
Another 50 points in the bag. So again, smashing off the practice programs is an excellent way to get things going. I'm coming into the pits now. I elected to drive in rather than teleport back, but of course Ocon's in the way, so I've had to stack in the pits in free practice, and I'm actually blocking the Ferrari garage. That's quite funny. And then obviously my mechanics will then come out and wheel me into the pits. I don't know why I didn't pull up, in front of the Haas garage maybe, and let them, or is that the Williams garage? Is that Stroll? I don't know. It's hard to tell from this angle. I can't really see. Looks like a Canadian flag, so it might be Lance Stroll. I could have pulled in front of it, and then they could have wheeled me, pulled me back in from there. Yeah, it must be Stroll, because that was a Williams. But no, instead they force you to stack. That's a bit crazy. Bit crazy. But anyway, that's two. That's 2 programs done. Next
So
one
far,
will
our
be
fastest lap is a
fuel saving.
1:33.4.
Now, this is again quite a critical skill that you need to learn, because of course you can't refuel in Formula 1. You start the race with a limited amount of fuel, and you've got to make that last to the end of the race. So again, much like the tyre wear program, the idea is you complete your lap and finish in the purple section. Again, I've already done my first lap and only achieved, I think, an average rating in the green, pretty much about where I am now actually, borderline on the red, because I just haven't got the hang of the lift and coast.
Decent lap there, but there's still more to find. Keep at it.
So you've got to lift. You've got to lift your foot off and sort of just coast into the braking zone and then apply your brakes to save some fuel. But I'm not mastering it at all. I'm not getting to grips with it, because as well, you think, oh, that's easy, you just don't drive so fast, you just don't, you know, put your foot all the way to the floor. But the problem with that is you actually have a targeted time as well, so you have actually got to meet a time for the lap, so you can't just drive around really slowly. So it's about hitting your lap deltas and saving fuel, which is a difficult combination to achieve. Do slightly better on this lap because I'm starting to lift off much earlier before I get to the corner. Normally when I'm obviously racing in normal practice, I'm full on the accelerator until I reach the red area, the braking zone, and then I'm on the off the throttle and onto the brake with my right foot. I don't do left foot braking because, you know, I know how to drive properly. So it's, you know, right foot off throttle onto brake and then off brake back onto throttle. That's how I drive. That's how I, you know, control the car with my Logitech wheel. But what I've got to get into the habit of doing is lifting off the throttle earlier, waiting until we get to the braking zone and then putting the brake on, and having that coast period. So unfortunately I only achieved an average score there, so not brilliant. Don't get the full amount of points, but I can come back to it later on in the practice sessions. That's pretty much the track acclimatization, tyre wear and fuel thing has pretty much used up all the time in free practice 1. So I'm going to go into free practice 2, and then I'm going to do the race strategy program and try and get a few of these other team objectives done. And then I'm going to go into free practice 3, do the qualifying pace program, and then I might come back, if I've got enough time, I'll try and do the fuel program again, because ideally I want to get perfect across the board and get the most R&D points, because we're going to meet our engineer now, Chris. This is our engineer who's going to teach us about the R&D program.
My message. Perfect. Welcome to home away from home. We get more real-time data from the factory now than ever before, and it all comes through here. So I have to spend more time checking over the reports and less time hunting you down in the hospitality suite. To that end, Sorry, just a sec. Yeah, Chris, is this important? I'm in the middle of something. Okay. Right. Well, that makes no sense. Have Sarah reset the simulation and run it again. Okay. Sorry about that.
No
As I
problem.
was saying, we've set up a desk for you at the front here. You can get onto the network from your laptop, so make sure to check the R&D screen regularly. And let us know how you want to use the data that we've collected over the weekend and through the practice programs. Also, bear in mind that the news from the factory won't always be good. Sometimes tests fail, like you've seen just now. And when that happens, we have to divert additional resources to fix it. C'est la vie, I'm afraid.
Okay, so we get to choose what parts we develop and try and improve over the course of the season. And obviously we get resource points awarded to us based on not just the practice programs, but our participation in sessions and our performance in sessions. So let's have a look. Now, as you can see, first of all, Force India, midfield team, probably one of the top midfield teams, I would say. So our car's already, it's pretty good for where we are. Parts of it could be better. The engine, obviously being Mercedes engine, is very good. And that's probably one of the things that gives us our strength. We're probably lacking in some areas on the car, which I'm going to look at now. So like I say, the engine is probably the strongest bit. Look, third on the grid being obviously Mercedes powered, so that's not too bad. Although we are going to obviously try and work on improving durability. As best we can. I'm going to have to get all them little bits done as well as quickly as possible. I'm not actually going to do too much on the powertrain because I don't need to. We've got the third best engine. Chassis wise, again we're mid-range I suppose. There's only a couple of teams above us in terms of chassis. Big boys, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren, Toro Rosso. So again, we're not doing too badly there. But again, I perhaps don't need to invest too much at this point in time into the chassis development and design. But aero is something I've got to work on. Look, we are third from bottom when it comes to aero. So I think aerodynamics and durability is where I've got to put my focus for this first season with Force India. And again, it's like I say, there's not much point doing the powertrain because we've got the third best. You know, we're on equal footing with Williams really when it comes to the engine because we're using the same one provided by Mercedes. Obviously, Mercedes have got their own engine for their own works team. And that's why they're the best. I'm going to work on that though, the quality control side of things, because obviously I don't want my upgrades to fail. If I'm going to be spending points, I want to reap the reward. I want the parts to be built successfully. Okay, engine wear. See, we're already at 11% engine wear. We've only done one practice session. So we're going to free practice 2. And as I said, I'm going to start with the race strategy, which basically requires me to do 5 laps and try and be as consistent as possible in those 5 laps so they can get a good readout on how the car performs and come up with a race strategy around that.
Okay, we need a few solid laps here to help us calculate a good race strategy.
So they're going to be able to understand basically how the fuel is being used, how the tyres are wearing, things like that, which obviously enables them to come up with their race strategy as far as when I'm going to need to pit in the race, how much fuel they need to put on board at the start of the race, you know, what engine modes I'll be able to use during the race and for how long. So yeah, it's just a case of getting out here then and just stringing a couple of, well, 5 time laps together back to back and having them be, you know, fairly consistent. You've got to be, you know, around, each lap's got to be around the same sort of time. You can't do like a 1 minute 30 one lap and then a 1 minute 50 the next. That'd be no good. You've got to keep the lap times consistent. And again, it gives you a great chance to try and start learning and honing your track, getting your lines down, getting your braking points. I must admit, I do struggle with this circuit. There's a couple of corners that just always get me. Always get me. An example being this corner here. This corner here always sometimes catches me out because you end up running a little bit too wide, and then you always seem then to get thrown to the inside wall. Another corner that tends to catch me out a little bit is the last one. Coming round this corner, I sometimes have problems where I drift too far out to the left, and again there's a risk of you running into the wall.
Okay, super job
Or
so far. We're getting great data.
I oversteer
Stay
too
focused.
much and end up coming too tight on the last corner, so I end up not basically having the maximum speed across the line. And I overtook Massa there. Had to overtake Massa, had to be done. Although he did put me off then and caused me to go a little bit wide into that corner. Some corners on this track I absolutely nail. I'm pretty good at this one, to be fair. I tend to be pretty good on that one. And I tend to be pretty decent and okay-ish on this one. This corner here, coming up, this sequence of corners can be a bit hit or miss. That was I went a little bit wide, and then I end up taking a shortcut across the corner there, because again, what I've found out is if I go out, try to get back out wide to come in, I end up running wide on the exit, and of course I messed up that corner, got on the grass. Sometimes I can get a little bit deep on that corner and end up not where I really need to be. See there, I oversteered a little bit too much. I'm more or less in the middle of the track as opposed to out to the left.
Keep it up.
This sequence of corners is quite interesting as well. You kind of have to lift off them, just coast, and then put the power back on, and then try and get on that curb on the inside, which sets you up then for this little sequence. But of course, it's one thing to know where the lines are, but it's then being able to drive them with the ever-changing conditions, the track evolution, the fact that your tyres are constantly degrading and wearing out with each lap, your fuel's decreasing, so your car's getting lighter and therefore faster with each lap. So you have to be able to adjust, because one of the things I struggled with was when I got low fuel loads. Because your car suddenly starts travelling a heck of a lot faster and you just don't really get the feel for it. With it being a game, you don't get the feel through the wheel and everything like you would in real life. So you know, you're driving laps and you don't realise that your car's getting faster and faster and faster with each lap. And you need to be constantly adjusting where your braking points and that are, because suddenly you're heading into a corner a lot faster. You know, one lap you'll be heading into a corner a lot faster than you did on the previous one. And that's when it can get you. You know, if you're not paying quite a lot of attention. The latter stages in practice and in a race can be quite painful. You can make a lot of mistakes. Certainly from my experience, that's what I did. But then again, I was probably a bit silly because I sat down and pretty much did all the practice sessions, all 3 qualifying sessions, and the race in one gameplay session, which was just too long. It was too long. Physically, it really did take it out of me. And certainly in the race, by the time I come to do the by the time I got to the latter stages of the actual race, I was getting very physically tired, mentally tired in real life, and it was having an effect on my performance in the game. So yeah, definitely take breaks if you're doing, you know, career mode between, you know, maybe do practice and qualifying, or, you know, maybe do 2 sessions of practice, much like in real life. Then you go and have a break, come back, do FP3 and qualifying, and then go and take a break, and then come back and do the race. Maybe that's something you'd have to do. Certainly, I mean, if you was doing, you know, full race distances, and, you know, that you would have to, because it would just be a killer. But I think I did well on this race strategy program. I did 5 pretty consistent laps. They may not be the best laps ever, but, you know, good enough for my engineers, good enough for Force India. Now I do end up making another mistake as well now in this video, because I did a stream on Friday when obviously the game was released, and I started a career with Mercedes, and one of the team objectives in that was to do the race strategy program twice using different tyres, and for some strange reason I thought that was one of the objectives in this Force India save. So once I complete my first race strategy program now, I decided to do it again with ultra soft tyres.
So far, our fastest lap is a 1 minute
And I didn't have to.
32.3.
Because it wasn't one of my team objectives, actually, as it turns out in this career. In this career, my team objective was to do use two different car setups in the same session, which would have been a lot less hassle. I could have done 1 lap with one setup and another lap with another setup. In fact, I could have done like the tyre wear program with one setup, the fuel saving program with one setup, and that would have ticked the boxes. As it was, I got myself confused between the 2 different career modes that I've got on the go, and I ended up doing 5 laps here on the ultra soft tyres that I didn't need to do, which again brings me back to the bug in the game at the minute, which meant I put a lot more wear and tear on my engine than I needed to, because I didn't need to do these laps. But again, you could argue it's good experience. Gives you a chance to practice on the ultra soft tyres, which I hadn't used until up to this point. I'd only run the super softs so far in free practice 1 and free practice 2, so this is my first time on the ultra softs, which are obviously going to be a tyre I will be using in qualifying, and possibly in the, I assume, the qualifying program in free practice 3. Looks like we've got Toro Rosso in front of us. Don't let it be Kvyat. Don't let it be Kvyat. Please. Please, not let it be Science. Science is okay. He can drive. Kvyat is just a flipping danger. He's a liability. He is. Don't know how he's still got a job, to be honest. I can't believe Red Bull haven't completely kicked him out of F1. Oh, it is Kvyat. Oh, God. This could end in tears. This could end in disaster. Ooh. Got a bit close to him there. Oh, he's pitting. Thank God for that. Ouch. I hit the wall there quite hard. Thankfully,
Okay, super job so far. We're getting great data. Stay focused.
don't appear to have done any damage to the car. But I gave the wall quite a clout then. Normally that rips your wheels off like instantly. And you get that super cool animation with your tyre flapping about on the tethers. And the screen goes all black and white, like something out of, like, you know, LA Noire or Sin City or whatever it is. All goes a bit thing, and then you get the guy on the Jeff comes on the radio and goes, "Are you okay? I look quite bad from here." And then you have to restart. Thankfully, I've avoided that all at the minute. See there, even though I ran wide, I was sensible enough to lift off the throttle and the brake and then just let the car recover itself. Normally I try and fight it and recover it, and that's usually when you get thrown back across the track into the opposite wall.
Great lap. You've nailed what we asked for. Keep it up.
Doing okay though. I must admit, I'm not finding the ultra soft tyres as super grippy as I expected to find them. I thought, you know, I'd be literally glued to the road, and I'm not. It almost feels weird, but I almost feel like I prefer the super softs
There's 4 laps of fuel remaining.
at this point. Maybe these just haven't switched on yet. You know, like you often hear them saying in real Formula 1 that they can't get the tyres in the correct window and they can't turn them on, and some compounds just don't work on certain tracks. Maybe. Oh, again, I remember to lift. I'm learning when I run wide, lift off the throttle, let the car stabilise, get back on the track and then put the power down. It avoids a lot of nasty moments. But I'm no expert, you know, I'm no expert, racing driver expert, you know. I'm sure there are hundreds of people who post videos on YouTube who are much better at this game than me, much faster, drive much quicker, you know, can brag about not having to use, you know, driver aids and the racing line, and you know, they do all manual gear shifts and all that sort of stuff. But I play the game for fun, you know, that's me, that's my whole mantra, you know, that's why my channel's called Gaming for Fun. I'm not trying to be the best person out there, you know, I don't feel the need to try and break any world records or anything like that. You know, I want to get enjoyment out of my game, so if that means playing it, you know, with different options to everybody else and different settings, then so be it. You know, at the end of the day, it's my money, I bought the game, I'll play it how I want to play it. So yeah, if there's anyone watching the video who's like, oh, turn off the cheat line and, you know, you're rubbish, then hey, you know, it's your choice, you know. If you play the game how you play it, I play it how I play it. You know, I'm having fun playing it my way. I'm finding it a challenge, but I'm not finding it insanely difficult. You know, if I'm consistent and I, you know, drive sensibly and properly, I can get very good results. At the same time, if I make mistakes, I get punished, which is how it should be. I certainly don't want to play a game if I'm just constantly banging my head up against a brick wall.
Stay focused.
So yeah, I'm not playing this on, you know, super ultimate AI level. And like I say, I am playing with some of the driving aids on. Like I think I've got brake assist low, traction control I think is low. Obviously I've got ABS brakes on. I'm doing manual starts though. We'll be doing manual starts in the races and formation laps. I'm not doing manual pit stops. But, you know, I've got a good setup. I like it. Like I say, I'm still trying to, at the moment, I'm still trying to fine-tune a few things with my actual Logitech steering wheel to make sure that's handling fine. Once I feel 100% comfortable with the way the wheel is working with the game, then I may actually look at dropping off some of the other options. I mean, certainly for the, you know, after this race weekend, the Australian Grand Prix, I will be turning off the driving line, or having it so it's only visible when it comes to the corners. It won't be on all the time. All the way around the track, it'll only appear at the corners.
Okay, take it easy on the car. We can't sustain this level of damage.
Right, I somehow managed to damage a front wing.
Car repairs have set us back a little.
I can't remember when I did that. Must be when I must have clipped or banged a wall or something. I didn't hit another car because I would have been penalised for it. And this is when I realised, car setup. Complete a lap with at least 2 different car setups during a practice session. So that was at that point I realised I've just done that race strategy program for a second time for no reason. But it gave me a bit more experience. Look, I got 10 laps, so by doing it again I got the maximum number of laps that you can receive points for. No one in the garage. I must admit, I do find it weird when you're in like the hospitality suite here, or you're in the trailer, the team, you know, team bus or whatever it's called, truck. You have to use the steering wheel now to look around, and the accelerator and brake pedal to look up and down. You can't do it with the directional switch on the Logitech Driving Force GT wheel. I don't know about other manufacturers of steering wheels like Thrustmaster and stuff, if they've got like a point of view, like a D-pad on the steering wheel itself. But certainly in like all the other games I play, like my trucking Euro Trucks and Farming Sim and F1 2016 and other F1 games, like I've got 2015, 2014, etc, etc, etc. You always used to be able to look around with that. For some reason in F1 2017 it doesn't work. It only controls you in menus. So I'm going to do the qualifying program now. So I've got to go out there and set my quickest time.
Don't worry about tyres, just give it everything. In
to show that I'm
we want to make
competitive.
sure we can lap close to our rivals' pace.
Now I feel good about this. I feel like I'm pretty quick, or I have been pretty quick up to this point. I've just got to get used to the ultra soft tyres a bit better. wider there, but again, this tends to be one of my strongest sections of the track. Actually, I was the fastest through the first sector. So I achieved a team objective there. I think you can definitely see a progression in my driving as I've been going through the programs and going through the sessions. I'm definitely getting better. I even took that corner quite well for a change. This lap's actually quite good. There was a bit ropey at the start.
That's all we need for now. Return to the garage pronto.
Oh, I've got to overtake Palmer. I can't return to the garage until I've overtaken Julian Palmer, because he's Captain Slow, isn't he? He's rubbish. See you, Julian. He's used to getting lapped by everyone by now, surely. Although I came close to putting it in the wall there. Right. So I've completed all the programs now, so I'm going to go back and have a go at that fuel saving one again, I think. I think that's the one for me. I want to try and perfect that if I can. I'm actually going to use the ultra soft tyres now, because they're available in this free practice 3 session, whereas they weren't available in free practice 1. So that's something else to think about when you come in to do your, you know, your race programs and stuff like that, and your practice programs. Check your tyre availability. Sometimes being on the right tyre can help immensely. For example, I think being on ultra soft tyres gives me more grip, which prevents me from spinning my wheels, which means when I am accelerating out of corners and that, I'm not spinning my wheels because I've got grip. So therefore I'm actually saving fuel because I'm not, you know, wasting revs. Plus the car seems to be pretty much bolted down at this point now, because I've got me settled how I want it. But again, I'm only covering the bare minimum of track I have to cover. Again, I'm lifted off here, I'm coasting in. Again, I'm going to lift off quite early. Coast into this corner. In fact, I'm going to coast almost right through this corner. Almost, like I say, I pretty much coasted through that whole corner. And then again, I'm lifting off bright and early here into this corner. I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to nail this first time now. I've gained a lot of knowledge by doing all the practice programs, doing all my sessions. It's tempting to put the power down early here. I'll just back off a bit just to guarantee. Yes! Optimal results. That's purple on everything. Right, let's go back to garage now. There we go. Completed all 3 practice sessions, maximum points. Or as maximum as I can get. I only did 6 laps in free practice 3, so I missed out on 4 points.
Everyone's talking about this new rival you have. Check his stats out.
New rival? Who's my rival? Hello, Anthony Davidson sat there, look. Introduction to driver. Esteban Ocon is my rival. Ocon's not a rival. He's not in my league. Oh, got voicemail.
Just letting you know that we've had the team's expectations through for the upcoming qualifying session.
I've got to qualify 9th or higher, and I've got to beat Okko. Okay, so that's my target for qualifying then, which will be in the next video, so be on the lookout for that. That should post shortly.